Good morning. I'm Pisces. I've shot this thing. This makes the third time I shot it. First, I run out of time and room, and I'm full. And anyways, they don't want me to talk to you this morning, ladies. Well, y'all must be too beautiful for the video today. Anyways, I'm gonna read this first to get it out of the way. It's wrestle. It's something that everybody does, whether out there in the yard or in the floor or wherever you're at. You're wrestling with whatever you're wrestling with. It's Hebrew, pathal. Root meaning is twist. You ever been a little twisted? Well, the point of it being is that when you get a little twisted and when you don't really understand that you're a queen, or you don't know how to step into your empress power. Well, if you notice an empress, okay, she stands in her power to the point where she calls a good call, a truth. It is the truth, the honest truth. It's like king. You know, sometimes you just got to step up and be the empress and go, hey, you take those boots off at the door like I asked you to, okay? That's an empress power, okay? Children, one time, I'm going to clean your room. Guess what? You'll be out there sleeping with the dogs. Understand when you're stepping into your empress power. You can get twisted. You can yell all kinds of these things, all kinds of unniceties, the double tongue, but you got to understand that's the flesh. And every time you do that, okay, that boomerang comes around and hits you in the back of the head instead of, I rebuke that. That's not me, Father. The point of it being is that you turn around and you're in trouble and you go, help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus. Well, guess what? You did something by the flesh. The point of understanding precepts, statutes, commandments, testimonies. In every one of those ladies, Rachel, Leah, Mary, Deborah, all of you, you got to really understand those are your footsteps. And even unto Moses, Noah, Enoch, all of them, David, Saul, Paul, all the disciples. Whenever the point of it is, it's called the proofs in the pudding. And you read those testimonies and you understand the precepts to the statute to the commandment, okay? Or you can turn it backwards, commandment, statutes, precepts. Either way you want to go with it. But understand that you're heaping coals on your own head, okay? The truth is when you stand up being an empress, which is the truth, you turn around and you give truth. You know, king, here's a broom. You know, there's no more said done than that. Now that's an empress. Now, screaming and hollering and banning and, you know, corrupt, that's trying to corrupt the whole party. You got to understand that's an attachment. You know, that's an attachment of trying to get everybody else in on your fight. And then that causes strife within a whole household or within a whole community. And it can. The precursor of understanding that witchy woo-ha and all that stuff, well, it's the point of the crier. You know, the king gives all these guys a copy of what he has decreed, okay? And the crier goes down on the corner and he stands loudly and speaks what the king has decreed. So everybody is fully aware of what they've done, okay? Same as the king and his queen. When he made the decree of all men should be head of his house, head of the household, and be treated as such. Well, the point of casting those, casting that thing out there in the world, okay? Well, people will call it spells or witchy woo-ha, whatever you want to call it, but it is true. You got to understand that it's like throwing a bowl of spaghetti on the earth and everything's tapped in. Well, it's able to tap in and run down the source of the Father, okay? It doesn't go in, it just runs down the source of the outside. And you connect it to who? Next door neighbor, your children in the bedroom, or this, that, and the other. Understand that you're an empress. Those things don't happen. And whenever they do happen, you're heaped on. And you turn around and you say, okay, how do I change this? Well, you change your structure by your tongue, because the tongue's a double-edged sword. The kindness, even though you don't receive kindness back, leave kindness on the table all the time. Kindness, love, compassion. The same as what Jesus had. Yeah, Jesus got upset and turned over the table. Yeah, Jesus got upset for somebody talking about the word for mammon, okay, for money. But that's not the case in always. But you know, y'all the most beautiful women in the world. Makes no difference who you are. You give the choice, and you take the choice. Take the choice of goodness and kindness right now, because look here, God's remnant is floating with you. Meditate with the Father for about an hour. It'll get you there. But anyways, the understanding of wrestling is okay, of Rachel's wrestling, emotional, and vocal rather than literal. Okay? Well, the point of it being is that you walk down, you go in there and you look up Rachel, and you understand that she was throwing that out there. Okay? And understand what happened to her, you know? And then it goes to with Leah, which led to wrestling. And Rachel led Rachel to name her handmaid's son Nephthah. And that means my wrestling in Hebrew. Davak. I'll get that to where I can see it, huh? Avaka. And that means get dusty or wrestle. Of Jacob's wrestling with the angel, physical effect, the dislocation of Jacob's thigh. Greek, pale, wrestling. Later, and any kind of fighting used of the Christian spiritual conflict with the powers of evil. All these things, I mean, people really they don't understand that. Like I said, you know, back in Assyrian times, Egyptian, I don't know so much about Egyptian, but the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Palestinian, well, not Palestinian then, but they would be. They are today. Anyways, Persian was heavy. But the point of what they said against their enemies, they never said a bad word about their enemies, okay? They just knew that there had to be something done if there was going to be a war. If they said something, like bad things and bad thinking and all that stuff, they was afraid of the jinn, okay, demon. And the jinn would attack them too, because they forecasted it on them, so they attacked both. And they thought that they could control the jinn. Same thing as understanding they thought they can control Satan. But it didn't work, because what he'll do is he'll lead you in one end, say everything's good, great, and fine, and he'll attack the other person like, oh, ha, 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 see, I got you. And guess what? You're next. So understand that how everything is working out there, ladies. Princesses, you're beautiful. You're learning the world. You're becoming a lady, a natural woman. And you got to understand that you have to interview your person, the way they talk against people. Okay? Gossip. You got to understand how that floats through every congregation, through everybody out there. And it's the biggest thing going, gossiping about this person or that person. Well, guess what? That is destruction. That is world destruction. People don't understand that. They did back when, let's see, who was that? The Aladdin. The prince was way back when. They knew what they should not speak and what they should speak. Because guess what? They was heaping coals on their own head. So understand, when you talk about somebody, always talk about it in good favor. Even if you don't like it. If it's your enemy, hey, Feed your enemy. Give him water. Show kindness and mercy. Unless it comes to swords. Then guess what? It's justice at that point. So understand that the Father has got this mapped out real easy. Precepts, statutes, commandments, testimonies. As you see it, that is you. Okay? You got to understand that you come from royal blood. Adam and Eve. You are royalty, whether you know it or not. They just don't want you to wake up. You're your own planet. You walk in God's natural law. Nothing outside this means anything, okay? Except your happiness and your wholeness with the Father. Nothing else. So, ladies, you're the most beautiful women in the world. And you have gifts. They just do not want you to possess them. Because if you become an empress, you can't be controlled. Because you don't have to be controlled. You know what to do. Okay? Same as a king. He knows what to do. And that's that's harmony. They don't want you to have that. Okay? Whether you have little or whether you have a lot. Okay? The gift of giving, always give. Even if it's your last dime. Okay? I heard a pastor go on there. I had this and I got, Father shot me up and I wanted to give everybody my money, and, he gave $10,000 away, I think, that he had saved. And he said, like, to starve to death. Didn't get no money for about 6 weeks. I said, well, that's not how it works for me. Give it away. And guess what? You'll be hipped on 10 times more. So that's a pretty good gift. He just didn't take it that way. He walks in faith. I know that. He's a faithful man. I'm sure that taught him how to be a faithful man. But always keep the storehouse full. Even if you're giving away whatever you got, understand that God will provide, and he does. Oh, like I said, sometimes I didn't know how I was going to do it, how it was going to happen, what was going to happen. I just had to sit and hold, and you'll roll around with it and say, oh, come to the door, come to the mailbox, be laying out there in the yard, But understand you've got a wonderful God. A wonderful, wonderful God. Yahweh, the Most High, righteous and loved. And you got a Jesus, your Lord and Savior. He's just right there for you. And you love him just as much. So walk in the path of Jesus. Understand what you're saying. Understand what you're doing out there, ladies. And like I said, princesses, don't be in no hurry. Because it'll cost you. It'll cost you strife. It'll cost you labor that you never even thought about. And you can have a good, nice life. Just remember, God's got a king for you coming. And he is a king. So princesses, be ready. They said keep your wicks trimmed and keep plenty of oil in reserve. Because you just have to wait. And it's still waiting on Jesus too. But anyways, 13 minutes this morning. Man, goodness, finally I got something out, I guess. But understand that, understand against the principalities of which push them. Queens, take care of your princesses. You got knowledge and wisdom to give them, and you can plumb them up. If you think that they're going to walk on their own, or they think they're going to walk on their own, you need to plumb them up. You just tell them, hey, your life is mine until I get done with you. And it is true. And don't let any principality tell you it's different. So whatever you have to do to make it happen and work for you and work for them, take action. Kings, take care of them queens. All of you, when you sit at the dinner table, every one of you say a prayer. Every one of you. Because guess what? The Father's here. His remnant's floating. And Jesus is on your lips. And there's legions of angels. Okay? Precepts, statutes, commandments, testimonies. Every one of those testimonies are you. You walking in the flesh. And you'll see it whenever you see Moses, whenever he hit the rock. He's supposed to touch the rock, not hit it. So understand that don't offend, because it will cost you in the end. Anyways, I'm going to get off here. I am Servant. I am Pisces. I love every one of you out there. Have a good one.